It is your preview show. I am Neil Atkinson, and with me I've got two Pauls, Cope and Senior. Cope Senior, just in case you were wondering. That's the order they've come in for today's preview show as we look ahead to Watford. And in the build-up to this, we were having a little chat as we do before this starts. And Paul Senior says, I've got to be honest with you, until today, I've barely thought about football. And I think that's a bit of an international break thing. But the other thing about that, Paul, I think, it's because the international break hasn't actually kicked you in the head. So if, for instance, you find out Naby Keita's pulled his hamstring, or Sadio Mane's broke his leg, you're thinking about football. I think it's worth saying, because we often slag an international break off when we feel like it's not gone for us. This one appears, unless there's some surprise in his press conference tomorrow, this one appears to have gone pretty well for us.
Yeah, I think last time, wasn't it, Mane broke his thumb and something else happened. I can't remember. Something else seems to happen, and you were very conscious of the international break and injuries and stuff like that. But actually, look, this time, Mbappe has done what he's done on his shoulder. Neymar looks like he's pulled up, and we don't know the extent of them injuries yet. But for us, it seems all right. Looks like Joe Gomez once again impressed. And yeah, it seems to have been okay. And you know, Jurgen Klopp could throw a spanner in the works in his his pre-match press conference tomorrow. But as far as it's gone, I think it's one that you'd have asked for.
I feel there's been a little bit of a bit of boxing off's gone on as well, I think, between Klopp and Southgate. If Henderson is indeed all right, it wouldn't surprise me if Henderson feels something, a tiny little bit of something, and Southgate thinks, you know what, this fella's been all right with me, I'll be all right with him. Yeah,
I think it's the benefit of having a probably a fairly sound England manager, isn't it?
Yeah.
That it seems like Southgate's massive number one priority on his list of to-dos is just be sound with everybody, and everything else will take care of itself after that.
Seems to work, you know, as well. And that's the other thing is, like, okay, as you said, Jordan Henderson's probably been good to Southgate. So the last thing Gareth Southgate wants is for fixtures that really matter, is for Jordan Henderson not to be available or play Joe Gomez or whoever is in his first team. He needs them.
Yeah, well, it makes a refreshing change, doesn't it? I love it when people come into a job and they've got a new approach to it, because it doesn't take much to go, well, do you know the way everyone's done it forever before me? Didn't work that well. So how about we just try something else? How about we all try and get on and be nice to each other and look after the player who, as you say, like it's in both of their best interests, isn't it, to make sure he's all right generally? So yeah,
we've seen this with Roberto Martinez, didn't we, at Belgium? I think it was last season, and Hazard hadn't kicked a ball for Chelsea for months, and his first game back was rushed back in an international friendly or something. And you go, that's not in anyone's best interest. Don't get me wrong, Eden Hazard's flying and might have needed the games at the time, but I think he should be kicking the ball for club before country.
Well, Robertson, Wijnaldum, Van Dijk all got to enjoy themselves, all got to win. Two of them as captain. Van Dijk scores, Wijnaldum scores. But the big one for me, the one I looked at today, because I think he's going to be so important in this run to come, Paul, is Keita. He got 90 minutes for Guinea, but he got it last Sunday. So he's back, he's got himself fresh, and it means the manager's getting everyone closer, with the exception of the long-term absentees, to fitness.
I hope this is a period where it's a real start of Naby Keita. You know, it's been an up and down time for him. I thought, like at Tottenham away, for example, I thought he was great. But there's other games where I think he's sort of struggled to get a grip of the game. And yeah, I want him now to have a sort of big Christmas and be the player everyone sort of thought we were getting. And obviously steer clear of these niggles that have seen him sort of in and out the side.
I think it's a time for him to come to the party, Paul, a little bit. And I don't mean that as a criticism, because it's fine that it takes some time for players to bed in. But I think he offers us, of all the midfielders, the greatest tactical flexibility, because he's such an all-rounder. He can offer you tactical flexibility within games, from the bench, in selection. Whatever you want to do with midfield, Naby Keita can do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the beauty of it all, and I talked about this last time I did the second look, that he's been forgotten about a bit. And I think everyone's forgetting a little bit that we're doing really well in the league, and we've been without him and Henderson pretty much for as long back as I can remember now. It doesn't feel like they've really had any impact on the season so far. And then coming into this dead busy period, they're both hopefully in good nick. And it just, in that central area where we did feel like we were struggling a little bit, all of a sudden those options are completely opened up.
They are indeed. We'll talk more about them in a minute or two. But before then, Gareth went to Watford right the way back in the summer. You can tell it looks fantastic. Won't look fantastic on Saturday, but here he is.
Okay, here we are, Watford, Vicarage Road, scene of 2 drop points last season, where a 93rd minute equaliser for Watford meant that Liverpool drew 3-3 on the opening day of the season. It was disappointing that there was talk of it being the same old Liverpool that concedes stupid goals, that concedes to set pieces, although there was a touch of offside about that goal. So how are we going to get on this time anyway, and how are we with Watford really? Well, we've played them 30 times across the course of the history of the two clubs. We've only lost 5 times, but 4 of those times right here at this ground. So how are we going to figure this time around? And if you're headed to this stadium, where should you go for a drink? Where should you go to eat? And what are Watford fans like in general? Well, we grabbed a couple to find out.
I'm Bradley Hayden, I'm 21 years old and I'm the founder of Watford FC blog. Watford are very much a community club, and I think you can say that from the ground as well. The ground is very compact, the supporters are very close to the stand, the players and the pitch, so we're very close to the supporters, and the fact we've got people like Troy Deeney, Adrian Mariappa, Tom Cleverley, all very much ingrained in the community, people like Aurelia Gomez as well, who have come in and really bought into the club. So Watford is very much a community spirit, and if you look at our success, a lot of it has come at home. We've the supporters behind the players, and it's very much a close-knit bond between the players and the fans, and that's something that has been with Watford ever since I've been supported doing. Fair play to the new owners, the Pozzo family. When they came in, people were a bit sceptical, thinking, are we going to be the same? Is that sort of community aspect going to be removed from the club? And to be fair for them, it's remained the same ever since. I mean, they renamed this stand the Sir Elton John stand, probably to one of our greatest owners. They've got the Graham Taylor stand over there, which was a really good move. They named it before he sadly passed away last year.
Hi, my name is Brian Donnelly. I've been coming here since 1954 when I was aged 8. Well, I can remember only twice beating Liverpool here. Once was we beat 2-1 in the, I think, 82-83 season when Liverpool won the old Division 1. We came second, and then a couple of years ago Sacco had an off day and we won 3-0 here. So it's easy to remember them because there's only 2 that I can remember, but they were great matches. And again, the atmosphere between the fans was excellent. You know, the rival fans, I think, was brilliant.
I think a dream season for Watford is to be consistent over the course of the year, not get to Christmas and be in mid-table and then just sort of give up and meander towards sort of a mid-table finish. I think Scott Duxbury summed it up in a fans forum the other week, that Watford's aim is to kind of be the best of the rest and try to finish sort of between 8th and 10th every year, and that's what I'd like to see as well. I think if you look at the players Watford are bringing in now, you've got the likes of Deulofeu from Barcelona, you've got Chalobah from Chelsea, you've got players like Prodal, who's an Austrian international. These are no mugs. They're international players, and they're experienced international players at that. These are not players who've just come to the Premier League and they've got here through luck. These are serious international players who Watford attracted now, and if you look at Watford's squad, it's very talented. I mean, look at the midfield, the likes of Decore, Capoue, Hughes, Chalobah. If on paper, if they're all fit, you'd probably say it's one of the strongest midfields outside the top 6. So if we can keep players fit and if we can keep players motivated, then I think Watford definitely need to be challenging for one of those top 10 places to keep not only fans interested, but to keep the ambition of Watford alive, to make sure that we can still attract these sort of types of players, because we want to be developing in the day. We don't just want to be getting to Christmas each year and give up and just slowly accept the 14th or 15th place finish every year.
Yeah, obviously they're coming to Watford Junction Station, just keep walking through the main shopping centre, and then when you get through that there's a couple of pubs before you get to the ground. So so that's good pubs, local pubs. I'm sure they'll be well looked after.
There's one right around the corner called Oddfellows, which is known as like the Way Club. I know that the Watford police sort of recommend that as the Way Club as well. Loads of bars and pubs in Watford town centre as well, so there's plenty of options for Liverpool fans. I think travelling down here, you've got Watford tube station, which is at the end of the Metropolitan line, which is like a 15-minute walk away. Probably the closest station to the ground is Watford Junction, which you can get a main line from. You can go from Euston, you can get trains down from up north as well. So that's probably travel-wise. Parking's not great around by the ground. You've only got really Vicarage Road down there, or the hospital, or there's places inside Watford as well, sort of town centre parking. So that's really sort of the best places really. But food and drink-wise, your best bet is probably the town centre really.
Thanks to Gareth for that. And, fantastic contributions throughout there. Love these little inserts, vignettes, I like to call them, as we travel around through the season. Watford then, Paul Cope. It's an impressive little season they're in the middle of. A club that I think they understand themselves. They want to be a difficult place to go. They want to play some good stuff and they shouldn't be patronised. They do play some good stuff, but they want to make it hard for you. They want to be physical. They want you to remember being at Vicarage Road, and I think that's what we're going to get on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked about this in the past. It's a bit like an old Stoke thing, and I think sometimes clubs are too quick to try and get away from that identity when it serves them really well. And the new manager's come in, and I think he sort of combined the new with the old really well without sort of throwing out the baby with the bathwater. He's still got that, as you say. It's really tough to go there. I remember when they came to play us years ago, and when it was the 6-1, and we were sitting together, and we noticed just how physically big a side they are. And I think there's still that element of that with more of the sort of progressive football, which it makes it a really tough place to go to.
They made it tough for United. United just got out there by the skin of their teeth in the end. They got themselves a good result against Tottenham. I think we're in for one here, Paul.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when Javi Gracia was appointed, and they'd lost Marco Silva, and I thought, oh God, I've never heard of this fella. Actually, I think he's improved him, because I thought Marco Silva's Watford was sort of they were on the right track and they were playing good stuff, but it seemed a bit more flaky than this Watford side. And don't forget, they've lost McAllister as well, who's obviously flying at Everton, and to solidify and look like a side that now belongs in that top half of the table, it's because they're making it hard for teams. And Paul talks about that identity thing. I think he's absolutely right. They're solid, but they do play nice stuff. They're finding goals. They seem to be getting the best out of people, but you're absolutely in for a battle. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to. I'll take any win, any style of win. Now I'm not expecting this to be a walk in the park whatsoever.
Well, they've got a couple of injury questions / headaches for the manager to begin to solve, and there's a really handsome devil who's about to talk you through it. Here we are, Watford versus Liverpool. Now, don't worry too much about how I've got Liverpool set up. We'll have a conversation about that in a minute, whether it be 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. That's really not particularly relevant to talking about what Watford are going to do. They've been left with a big question, a big problem, and it's at right midfield. Will Hughes has been excellent for them so far this season. He's played off the right, but he's very much played as a midfielder, an old-style right mid. That means he's been helping out Capoue, and he's been helping out Decorah in the middle of the park here a little bit. And on the other side, Pereira's had a little bit more licence to go. You can see that in his goal return. And what they've been doing the last few weeks after they had an injury to Troy Deeney was that they've been playing with Success here and Deulofeu here. So it's been 4-4-1-1, but Pereira gets very close to the front men there and gets himself involved here, whereas Hughes works up and down. Kiko Firmino gets up and down the right-hand flank as well on the overlap of Hughes. But it looks like Hughes is going to miss the game. He came off against Southampton with what looked like a hamstring problem. And that throws open a couple of things. The other thing as well here is Troy Deeney's back. And Deeney is the club captain and he will expect to play. So what the manager Gracia has now got to sort of grapple with is what does he do with this little situation he's now got on his hands here. Deulofeu's an obvious candidate to move to the right-hand side, but if Deulofeu moves to the right-hand side, he doesn't have the same midfield instincts, it's fair to say, that Will Hughes would have. Yeah, he carries the ball, something beautiful. We know he's a good player, Deulofeu, on his day, but he is not a right-hand-sided scrapper, which allows the full-back to get beyond. So does he see if he can get Janmaat fit, play Janmaat at right-back and play Firmino there instead? But that doesn't solve his Deeney problem because he wants to get Deeney on the pitch. So Isaac's Success has done really well for him. So will it be that he goes Deeney and Success here? Maybe get Deeney to be sort of doing horrible little bits around whatever Liverpool do at the base of their midfield. That would seem to be the sensible thing to do. But he won't want to leave Deulofeu out, who's been performing really well for him. He'll solve this problem. Obviously, he's a football manager. He's had a couple of weeks to work on it and he's been able to spend a lot of time with his players. What's in Liverpool's interests, I'd argue, is that he goes with Deulofeu. I think Deulofeu would be absolutely perfect for us. Firmino's a really, really good player on the overlap. He's got good pace. He can take a man on. But I think it would suit us if Mane's pushed up against him and Robertson's getting the other side of a Deulofeu. And then in the middle of the park, we've then got the overrun, ideally, of these, without Deulofeu knowing how to come in and help there or how to help here. That's what I'd hope from a Liverpool point of view that we get. We will find out what Gracia does. So that young Cary Grant did not talk about what Liverpool's setup would be. Instead, he focused on Watford. Gentlemen, what would you do? And I'm going to ask everyone this question across all the content. And I asked it right the way back after we got our result in the last game of the last segment. Would you start Shaqiri?
I'm not sure. I think it's one of those where we can play Football Manager with it, but it's got to come down to the condition of the players after a break like this. If he's back and he's absolutely
so everyone's in good nick, would you start Shaqiri?
Probably not. I'd say with this, if they're all fit, I'd go for the sort of three-man classic solid midfield of Milner, Henderson and Wijnaldum. Would you start Shaqiri?
I'm surprised. That I was expecting to be the miserable one and say no. I wouldn't either. But I would go Keita, Wijnaldum and Henderson. That would be my three for this. I think we're going to see a bit more of the ball. I don't think this is the one where you go with that classic three Paul's talking about. I think you want a little bit more in there, but maybe not quite as much as Shaqiri. And I think Keita's that sort of middle ground between Milner, who's captain of industry, really responsible on the ball, but I think you could just take that little bit of extra creativity when we've got the game by the scruff of the neck. I think Keita would give you that little bit extra with the front three.
Is there a Milner argument around the fact that he hasn't gone away on international duty?
Definitely, yeah. But if you're saying to me Keita played last Sunday, Henderson hasn't played, and then
I wouldn't start Henderson.
You wouldn't start
Henderson?
No,
I wouldn't start Henderson. The reason why is because I think that we've got this run of 11 games.
So you go Wijnaldum
and
6.
You manage the minutes. So I'd go Wijnaldum, Milner, Keita. That's probably what I'd go with for this. I'd look at that because I'd like Henderson against Paris. I'd like Henderson against Everton, and that'd be what would be in my mind. I would definitely play Keita, and I'd be looking at this next three. I'd be saying to Keita, you've got all three of them. You can play your way in. It might be that you're subbed on 60 on all three. It might be that you get a 90, a 60, a 70. But I would be saying to Keita, you get 3 starts.
I think it gives you that balance I'm sort of looking for. So obviously, I think Wijnaldum's slightly more creative than Henderson. But then you've still got Keita, but then Milner can be the slightly more responsible fella. So it's to say that the makeup of that is maybe the sort of balance I'm looking for, rather than having one who seems a bit more of a luxury, which let's see Shaqiri has.
I did my homework, and last season in 17-18, Klopp went pretty strong the first game back after this international break. Now, the Champions League group was in a different state at that stage. We had Sevilla away on the horizon. We had Southampton at home at the first game, which at least on paper feels an easier test than this. You'd have thought, but he picked Coutinho, he then had, and he picked all of the front three. Are you expecting him to do all the front three?
Yes.
Why?
I just think he thinks there's too much of a drop-off. And I don't think you can come back from this break and afford any slip-ups. And that's why I'd be more surprised if he didn't just go solid with his trusted front three and midfield three.
Even with an eye on Paris, he's got to go to Paris on Wednesday with them all.
Yeah, but
I include the midfield three in that.
But I think with things like that, there's an argument that you sort of reverse what you're talking about before, and you say to the likes of Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner, and the front three, I want an hour from you. I want the first hour of the game, because we're happy to win this game 1-0. And if that means we get to 60, 70, 80 minutes at 0-0 with this setup, and then I'm throwing on Keita and Shaqiri to spice things up, then so be it. I'm not sure how much Paris plays into this, because of the league campaign and how important it is to keep this going and keep on the tails of City. It's all about getting the three, and it's so cliched, isn't it? But it's true. I don't think you can afford to be looking at Paris. I think it's more a case of get Watford, get the win, and then reassess and see where all your lads are and see how fresh they all look.
It's also it's picking your priorities as well. I'm seeing any what you perceive as difficult league games as priority, and that sounds mad with Paris Saint-Germain in the week, but the front three are non-negotiable for me in them games. I don't want to see mistakes being made and us dropping points to Watford, because you can't get out of dodge in this league anymore.
But I'll flip it back. Last season, for instance, when we face Everton at home, he rests people. Solanke starts that. Solanke started Stoke. I
didn't agree with that either, though. You know, so that's obviously the manager's prerogative. But I thought it was almost offensive to the fans, the Liverpool fans, to have done that. I understand he's got to pick his battles, but he shouldn't have done that in the Merseyside derby. I don't think he should do it at the weekend. And I think where he can manage minutes, but if he has to run them for all three, run them.
Lallana and Sturridge also didn't go away, and I mean, one of the things we never get to see is dynamics around training camps, around the idea of what happens when all the other lads go on international break. Yeah. You know, it feels a little bit to me as though half the class has gone away, and what's the actual school work we're doing, if you know what I mean. But it can't just be that. I think if you're Lallana or Sturridge, you're possibly hoping for, if not a start here, but to get on the bench and to get half an hour.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they will be hoping that. I just think, and I'm Lallana's biggest fan, I just don't think he's done enough in the appearance he's had to give the manager and the coaching staff that faith that it's still there, that what he had before, that what he contributed is still there. So as you say, we don't know what's gone on in training, we don't know how sharp they look and how fresh they look. I'd be surprised if he throws either of them into this, and more that I could imagine them, for example, playing some role in the derby.
Okay.
Fabinho and Shaqiri as well, I just feel are ahead of them in the queue there, of Lallana, I should say. And yeah, I think he's going to have to put up with that sort of position, because as Paul says, he just hasn't earned it.
Dead quick prediction.
I think we'll win, but I think we'll be close. 2-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, 1-0 win.
1-0 win. Excellent stuff. A lovely afternoon in store. I'd love a horrible 1-0. Let Manchester City beat West Ham 6-1, and we can look afterwards and say, lads, you don't get any extra points. Thank you very much to Paul Cope, to Paul Senior. It's been your preview.